看见那个老人了吗？两个阿姨。
Did everyone see those two elderly people over there? They're two elderly aunties. Just now, I was in the nursing home, and I chatted with the two aunties for quite a while. They're from Shanghai and were among the earliest group of women in China to choose not to marry, not to have children, and to embrace a lifelong single lifestyle. Just now, they showed me photos of themselves from their younger days. They were truly beautiful, their temperament and looks could rival those of celebrities. They both said that they lived extremely happily when they were young. They were once deeply immersed in the freedom and joy that single life brought. At the time, they saw their married friends constantly complaining about the burdens of life, how hard it was to raise kids, how unthoughtful their husbands were, and how marriage wasn't as wonderful as they had imagined. So they felt they had chosen a clearer-headed, freer path by staying single. However, after they turned 40, especially after the passing of their parents, things began to change. Every spring festival and every holiday season, when others gathered joyfully with their families, they instead felt a deep sense of loneliness. One of the aunties even fell ill once while at the nursing home, and at that time she felt especially helpless. Many of the other elderly people had children to stay with them and take care of them, but she was all alone. At that moment, she realized that the freedom she used to be so proud of was turning into a heavy loneliness. She admitted that she regretted it deeply. She had even tried to adopt a goddaughter, in hopes of establishing some kind of emotional connection. But in the end, it was still a transactional relationship between strangers, based on money. It could never replace real affection and care. In the nursing home, while the caregivers do have the duty to look after her, ultimately, they are just employees doing their job. They do not genuinely care from the heart. These caregivers have no emotional connection with you. That auntie said, no matter how much money you spend, you can't buy family love. Elderly people who have children, even if their kids can't provide much practical help, at least emotionally, they'll drop by now and then, and during holidays, they'll remember to give you a hug. That's the kind of emotional warmth that people truly need in old age. That auntie was truly filled with deep regret. She said that nowadays, many young girls, not even 30 yet, are already going around saying, I'm not getting married, I'm not having kids. But she sincerely wants to remind them, are you really ready to grow old alone? Her regret isn't just for her own past choices, but also a hope that younger generations can look further ahead while they're still young. Not just focus on the freedom of the present, but also think about the emotional needs and sense of belonging they'll crave in the future.
大龄剩女，她们不是躺平，是卷不动了。
Older leftover women didn't lie flat, because they wanted to. They simply don't have the energy to compete anymore. You think they chose to embrace loneliness? In reality, they were slapped hard by the times and thrown into nursing homes. I recently saw a news story about a woman born in the 1980s, who has already moved into a nursing home in Wuhan. Her story is just a small glimpse into a much larger group. Now let's hear the blood-soaked confessions of several single women over 30. Every word pierces through the illusion of the so-called modern independent woman. The first is a 40-year-old woman. When she was young, she shouted slogans like no marriage, no kids, and even declared that men are worse than dogs. She acted as if nothing in the world could scare her. But one late night after both her parents had passed away, she sat alone in the dark, touching her once proud uterus, now flaccid and degenerated, and burst into tears. When she realized her only so-called premium asset had withered and lost all value, the sense of loss hit her like falling into an icy abyss. Her bed was cold and empty, lonelier than even the lively mahjong tables at the nursing home. This so-called independent woman couldn't even afford a burial plot. She's now just a reserve member of those tragic news stories about people dying alone and unnoticed. The second is 39 years old, with more medical records than savings. Thyroid nodules, breast hyperplasia, ovarian cysts. These illnesses have become side effects of what can only be called social castration. When the crushing 996 work culture, and the pressure of marriage and childbirth, meant to be shared by two people, fell entirely on her shoulders, her medical report became nothing more than an injury certificate from battling life alone. The third is 38. When she was younger, she dreamed of marrying someone who could offer at least 800,000 yuan as a bride price, and refused to settle for anything less. But reality gave her a brutal slap. She now says that if she were to suddenly drop dead in her rental apartment, no one would notice. Her loneliness runs so deep that even the food delivery guy knows her schedule better than her own mother. Her so-called freedom feels like a rave held in a morgue. The joy and laughter of others don't belong to her. And her every breath feels muted, like someone hit the mute button on her existence. The fourth is 46. Even when she's offering a house and car, no man wants her anymore. She realized her so-called independence has become nothing more than an expired item in the dating market. That prideful refusal to settle? She herself is now part of the clearance sale. Even men earning just 6,000 yuan a month dare to pick her apart. The dating process feels less like finding a partner and more like sifting through rotten cabbage leaves at a farmer's market. She refuses to admit the truth. For many men, a woman in her 30s or 40s, no matter how much property she owns, is far less cost-effective than a young, energetic girl in her 20s who can still have children. Reality is cold and merciless. A woman's age and fertility absolutely have an expiration date. If you didn't make the most of your gender dividend during your prime, then sorry. Time won't give you a second chance. The fifth is 42. She once believed that listing her education, looks, and body metrics like product specs would attract high-quality men. But she soon realized, no one's reading those labels. Her so-called self-improvement was just like putting a new sticker on an expiring can of food. She once believed she was worth 580,000 yuan in bride price. Now, she's nothing more than a 42-year-old clearance rack item. While she fought for her high-quality lifestyle, the capitalist world had already taught men that investing in young women yields far better returns than marrying a middle-aged elite. Nursing homes aren't the endgame for older single women. They're just a mirror that exposes everything. Don't think you can dive into one and be safe in your later years. Just look at some once wealthy tycoons worth 7 billion yuan who ended up conned by their caretakers, crying in the streets on winter nights. Or the old man in Shanghai who entered a nursing home with 4 million yuan, only to die within 3 months. His money bought him a fast-track death pass. There are no miracle comeback stories in this world, only the cold baptism of survival. The scornful eyes and slaps from caretakers can be far more vicious than your ex. Even the spit basin beside your hospital bed might be more loyal than your old blind dates. Those dreams of sisterhood retirement homes are nothing but plastic flower fantasies. In reality, your best friend may not even be able to scrape together your ICU surgery fee. Some leftover women love to brag about how much money they have, claiming they'll be able to hire 10 caretakers when they're older. But caretakers can steal from you faster than you can even write a will. When you're in the nursing home, suffering a heart attack in the middle of the night, or slipping on the bathroom floor with no strength to call 120, that's when your social death is complete. This isn't fearmongering. It's a bucket of sulfuric acid poured over every leftover woman still romanticizing the solo life. You can choose not to marry or have kids, but you must think long and hard. When your menopause collides with abuse at the hands of a caregiver, and when you're scammed out of money by a caregiver during the onset of dementia, will your meager pension be enough to buy you even a dignified death?
哎呀妈呀，现在这婚姻介绍机构是真的急了 ，KPI 完成不了啊！
Now these matchmaking agencies are really freaking out. Their KPIs are falling short, and they're all about to lose it. Just look at that matchmaking company in Wuxi. They recently went as far as posting a rant on their social feed, directly targeting older unmarried women. The message? If you don't get married or have kids, your final destination will be a nursing home, dying alone. They even attached a photo, an image of a group of elderly ladies in a nursing home, holding food trays, trying to use that as a scare tactic. But the thing is, that picture doesn't scare us older single women at all. Just look at the food: shredded potatoes, stir-fry dishes, soup, noodles, steaming hot, full of color, aroma, and flavor. It actually looks better than the delivery food we usually eat. The aunties in the photo look so happy. How is this a warning image? It's clearly more of an aspirational image, okay? To be honest, I've recently seen tons of videos online showing nursing homes here in Jilin, and the scenes are almost exactly the same as in that picture. The head of the facility, an incredibly kind-hearted auntie, personally pushes a food cart every noon to serve the elderly. The meals include braised string beans, stewed eggs, corn porridge, The aroma alone is enough to make you drool. Golden and crispy. Absolutely mouth-watering. They switch things up daily too. Corn cakes, noodles, rice, carefully tailored to each resident's preferences. The elderly there are full of energy, eat well, sleep well, and even enjoy regular entertainment. In the mornings they play chess. In the afternoons they sing. Their lives are incredibly vibrant. And the head auntie is super attentive to everyone. Serving soup, handing out cakes, asking if people are full or if they want another helping. And all of this? Just over 2,000 yuan a month. You call that tragic? What a joke. Look at the comments section. Everyone's cracking up. Young people are swarming in. Auntie, I'm only in my 20s, can I sign up too? Can I bring my bestie with me? When my best friend and I get old, we're totally booking your nursing home. See the trend? Young people are already planning their retirement. And these matchmaking agencies still think they can scare us single ladies with a picture like that? Ridiculous to the max. And you really think getting married and having kids means you'll escape the nursing home? Think again. We older single women live freely in the first half of our lives, so ending up in a nursing home doesn't bother us. But even if you get married, you spend your life serving your husband, your son, your grandson, working yourself into the ground, and you might still end up being sent to a nursing home. Plus, your kids might live far away, or even overseas, and not show up for months. You think they're going to personally monitor the care workers for you? Dream on. Besides, even if we do get a little lonely in our old age, at least it's built on a foundation of freedom and a vibrant youth. That's way better than spending your life penny pinching and then gambling everything on whether your kids will be filial or not, right? These days, there are countless heartbreaking stories of elderly parents being neglected, emotionally abused, or even physically harmed by their own children. 80-year-old man abandoned in a wasteland for 15 years. Son drags father out the door. 85-year-old woman thrown out by her children. One case after another, each more horrifying than the last. If a care worker yells at you, it's still less painful than being betrayed by your own flesh and blood. And let's not forget, whether it's a basic nursing home or a luxury senior living community, services are becoming more and more professional, and facilities more and more modern. Give it another 20 to 30 years, and with single lifestyles becoming the norm, competition in the elderly care industry will only heat up. Nursing homes will have to fight for clients. We independent women will be VIP clients, the prized ones, the golden aunties. They'll be rolling out the red carpet for us. There's no way they'd mistreat us. Honestly, by then nursing homes might be rolling out all kinds of discounts and perks just to win us over. Auntie, please come stay with us. Our rooms are spacious, and our care is top-notch. You seriously think we'll end up locked in some dark little room, being beaten and abused? What would they gain from that? No one's going to mess with their paying clients. So, sisters, not getting married or having kids is not scary. Living in a nursing home one day is not scary. As long as we live smart and free in our youth and save up a bit for retirement, there's nothing to worry about. Those matchmaking agencies trying to scare us with the idea of the nursing home? They've completely missed the mark. At 34 years old, my biggest goal right now is just to save up more money, so I can live in the best nursing home one day.
据说在养老院已经住进了第一批终身未嫁的阿姨。
What has become of the first group of women who never married in their entire lives? It's said that the very first group of lifelong single women have already moved into nursing homes. They used to be free and independent, enjoying the single life for half their lives, but as they grew older, do they now regret the choices they made back then? A reporter interviewed one of these women. This woman said, "Back when I was young, I was the campus beauty." She showed the reporter photos of herself when she was younger. At that time she was proud and arrogant, thinking that no man in the world was worthy of her. Even when it came to blind dates, there was no one who caught her eye. Later she realized that living alone was actually quite carefree, and felt that having a man or not didn't really matter. She thought she could buy a car and a house all by herself, but as time went on, she realized that no matter how much money she had, it could never replace the role of a man in her life. A few years ago she still had many single friends, but one by one they all chose to get married and have children, while she remained alone. A whole life without marriage, without children. When she was busy with work, she actually quite enjoyed the peace and quiet, but after moving into the nursing home, she often saw people passing away every now and then. And she said what made her feel the saddest was that she really wished she could be like the other elderly residents, having relatives and children come visit and accompany her. But by the time she realized this, it was already too late. So now, to all the young people in their 20s or 30s who are constantly shouting about not getting married, are you really prepared to grow old alone?
Nowadays, many older single women who are unwilling to find a partner are clinging to one idea: live freely while I'm young, and when I'm old, worst case, I'll just live in a nursing home alone. It seems like they see nursing homes as some kind of safe haven for growing old in solitude. But a recent piece of news might shatter this wishful thinking entirely. I came across a report from Hangzhou. Right now, there are around 1.3 million older unmarried women in Hangzhou, and yet some nursing homes have started to clearly refuse to admit certain individuals among them. The reason behind this is thought-provoking. Multiple elderly care institutions have openly stated, nursing homes are not some sort of shelter for all elderly people. Especially for those who have no children and no legal guardians, they simply cannot be accepted. Why is that? There are several main reasons. First, all services in nursing homes, including nursing care fees and meal expenses, must be paid monthly by family members or legal guardians. Secondly, if the elderly person suddenly falls ill, for example, in emergency cases like hospitalization, surgery, or critical care, all medical procedures and payment decisions must be signed and confirmed by a family member or guardian. In other words, if you have no relatives standing behind you, the nursing home has no right to bear those risks for you, nor can they manage your financial affairs. Another example, some older single women may say, "I'm not afraid, I have money." But the issue is, no matter how much personal savings you have, if you fall ill in the nursing home and require expensive emergency treatment, and the cost exceeds the deposit or prepayment you've made to the facility, the nursing home has no authority to access your bank savings or other personal assets. In other words, without an authorized person, even if the nursing home wants to save you, they are powerless. Of course, that said, if you're truly wealthy, so rich that you have a professional financial and legal team, then perhaps it's a different story. But for ordinary people, is this really a reliable path? So, for those older single women who are still young and enjoying the solo life, if you're still feeling like living alone is great and marriage is unnecessary, I sincerely advise you to give some serious thought to your future. Stop blindly believing in the slogans pushed by capital and the internet like female independence and freedom from marriage. These slogans may sound pretty, but they will never take responsibility for your retirement in reality. For the sake of the country's future, for your own quality of life in old age, and for your dignity and safety, while there's still time, find someone suitable. Don't keep dragging this out. Do you think that going to a nursing home in the end is a conscious choice made by older single women, or is it an outcome they were forced into? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. See you in the next video.